All right, I think we're live. Hi guys, how are you? So nice to connect to you. So let's check the quality of the stream. Welcome to this live stream and welcome to this show. My name is Laura from Pleiadian Healer at pleiadianhealer.com. I hope you're having a wonderful time. Okay. Is the All right, seems like it's working. Okay, so let me just put this down here. I don't know what it is with the lighting lately, you guys, but I'm either over flashed or there's like not enough light somehow. It's annoying, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really annoyed with my own lighting lately. Talk about someone who criticizes other people's lighting. I've had it. You know what? I think it is the white wall behind me. I started noticing that, especially when I work with my other camera, because I used to have this blue background that had a world thing on it, and because it was so dark, it actually made everything kind of look more tan and natural, whatever. So I don't know, but then again, the couch is dark too, so it's just annoying. These different types of variables are pretty annoying to me personally. That's just something that I started noticing, but nothing anyone would really pick up on unless they pay attention to it. So, how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing all right. I've been trying to go live for the past 2 or 3 days already, probably since October 26th. Never really felt right. I do have to say that. It always felt like, I don't know. I don't really feel like I want to go live right now. But if I don't do it today, that's something that really motivated me to go live today. If I wouldn't have gone live today, I don't know when I would have had the chance to go live because it's an action-packed weekend. Monday is Halloween night. Not that I have super duper plans, but usually those plans happen like last minute. So whenever you plan on, okay, I'm going to go live tonight, you're probably going to be invited to something else. And then you're like, okay, I can't miss out on that because it's a once in a year event and whatever. So I was like, okay, you know what? Before all of that stuff happens in between, as we know, the city's picking up again. It's almost back to normal. Let's just go live tonight and just kind of have this for you guys so you have it for the weekend. And I hope you're enjoying your Friday night or Saturday morning or even Sunday whenever you see this. Yeah, wow. Crazy times, exhausting week. It's been an exhausting week. Today I sat down, I was like, I can't anymore. It's exhausting. And it's not even that I did a whole lot, it's just that it just feels so exhausting. So, how do you know New York City's back to normal when you see Halloween costumes all over the subway? That happened today, and I was like, oh, wow, it's correct. It is the Friday before Halloween. It's like 3 days too early, in my opinion, but people are out and about during their Halloween parties or whatever. And it's just strange. It's very strange altogether, in my opinion, at least. So I wanted to talk about a few things here. Let me just close down a few windows so that I don't get distracted. I'm going to go through a comment that I got on BitChute, which I thought was really interesting. I think I might have to pull that up right here. So let me just mute the sound as well. Yeah, I thought this comment was so funny on BitChute. It's like, can you please give me step-by-step instructions on how to exit the matrix? So if someone's in the live stream, definitely comment. If not, you can comment below when you see this in replay. The reason I go live without announcing it beforehand is simply for a few reasons. First of all, welcome to everyone who's new to this channel too. I know we got like quite a few subscribers, especially with the most recent review somehow. But the reason I don't really announce it anymore, I don't think I've ever really announced it except for in the very beginning back in 2019, is first of all to avoid some trolls, which there obviously are always going to be some trolls trolling around. Not necessarily in the live chat, though. I'm pretty good at monitoring my own stuff. I do have to say that. But also simply because, other people announce their live streams and all of a sudden they had like a YouTube strike or whatever. Right now, the entire YouTube thing is very iffy. I'll discuss it. I can't even talk. Wow, my throat completely blocked up. I'll discuss it probably in a video in the future. But if you haven't gotten the memo yet, I have another channel you can subscribe to. So if anything ever happens, if anything ever goes down, knock on wood, this channel is under persecution, okay? This channel was extremely persecuted, especially after 2 of the New Age reviews that had to do with Magenta Pixie and also Gigi Young, all right? This channel was persecuted to such an extent that all of a sudden 8 videos disappeared out of the blue. And I woke up to emails in the morning from YouTube saying why they disappeared. I don't agree with any of that, but appealing any of that doesn't make any sense because YouTube just does whatever they want to do. So this channel was under extreme persecution over the past month. I wasn't able to upload for 2 weeks straight, which is also why you're getting like this explosion of content right now too. I do want to say that. Usually I post every 3 days, but right now everything goes. So I'm just going to post however I can post. Let's put it that way. If anything ever happens, look up Pleiadian Healer and you'll find my channels when you filter the search to channel. So right now I have a channel up that's called Pleiadian Healer 001, and I have a channel that's called Pleiadian Healer Backup. Okay. So any of those 2 channels, you'll always find me. And unfortunately, the backup channel already has 1 strike too. So it's not really much of an option for me right now, except for random stuff here and there. But the Pleiadian Healer 001 really is going to march into action if worse, when it comes to worse, let's put it that way. I'm not going to be silenced. I'm not even going to be persecuted. And I'm definitely not going to be intimidated by random people who don't agree with some of my viewpoints. Let's put it that way. Free speech is something everyone should be provided with, should be given. If you disagree with something, that's fair. I don't agree with a whole lot that's out there on YouTube these days either. But people were legit trying to take this channel down. And for that is modern day persecution, in my opinion. Okay? That's definitely not correct, but it is what it is at this point. So another thing that I want to announce while people are rolling in. Hi to Yannick. I hope you're doing well. New course is up. My goodness, I've been working on this new course for the past 2+ years, it feels. And this is basically the course if you want to learn how to do shamanic healings, not just on yourself, but also others. So let's just say you are a healer already. You have healing background, you know some basics. You can apply these techniques. You can add them to your healer toolbox. And if you don't have a healer background, that's great too, because you basically learn from the start, like from scratch, how to do healing sessions on others. There's no attunements, nothing needed, unlike Reiki or other modalities. So it's really just very straightforward. It shows you remote healing. It also shows you an in-person healing. And the new course is Be Your Own Shaman, how to become your own healer, and also how to basically apply those healing techniques on others. There are 2 courses to it. So number 1 is the Essentials course. You're going to need that for the Advanced course. So it's not just you can jump right away into the Advanced course, even if you already have a background of some sorts. No, you kind of need the first to go into the next, because there are certain concepts that are just explained in the Essentials. The reason I broke it up in 2 is because this course is legit a 12-week course at this point. And whoever just only wants the Essentials can do that. Whoever wants both can do both, which at this point, most people have signed up for both anyhow. So that's great, because I do think both are very powerful in and of itself. So in the Essentials, you're going to go through the basics, connecting with the natural elements, how to even set up a healing session, how to remove your own cords, intrusions, all of that. It can be completed within 4 weeks if you're pretty fast. I wouldn't say much quicker than that, because you kind of want time to integrate it too. Let's put it that way. You don't want to do it like doom. Now, if you just want to take a weekend, like 3 to 4 days straight, and go through the material for like the 12 hours straight that it is, you can, of course. But I do think it's important to kind of integrate some of these things, because there are quite a few shamanic journeys in it too. And you just kind of want to give it time. There are modules on how you can connect with your own intuition, your own inner knowing. And a lot of it is practice. I do want to say that too. It's not like you're going to take courses and you're going to have it all set forever. No, you always got to practice, of course. So I think the course in and of itself really highlights that too. It's all about practice, becoming comfortable with the techniques. And the advanced one is really the one where we go into the meat of all. So that's really what I personally do in my own shamanic healings. So many people are like, okay, I might not be interested in a healing with you, but I'd like to learn how. Like, that is really where you would learn how to do AI implant removals, how to get major pieces of your soul back, if not even your own soul back. Some people's soul is hidden somewhere by the controllers. And it really talks about these major concepts that are covered pretty well in my shamanic healings too. So as you guys know, shamanic healings at this point, mine usually go between 2 hours to 3 hours, if not even a bit longer. And so whoever's interested in that, definitely join along. So the Essentials course is actually still reduced until November 15th. And after that, the price does go up to the original price. I do want to say that, which it's a pretty amazing price as it is right now. My own teachers, the people I learned from, want twice as much, if not even more, for something that I think doesn't even cover everything that I cover in these 2 courses, just to give you an idea. But I do kind of want to make it accessible for people all over the world. And I know right now we are in a form of recession, or, it's tough financially. I do agree. The complete course is on your website. Yeah. So basically, one is already live. Everything's recorded. We're going to have our first coaching call November 6th, which is in a good week from now. And then the second course is going to go live November 15th or 17th, like one of those days, like mid-November. And that's also going to be, so both have around 10 hours of pre-recorded modules, which is 20 hours altogether. And then there's going to be 1 hour coaching call each, making it like anywhere between 22 to 25 hours for both courses together. And yeah, so just to give you an idea, I really don't think you should complete it, just within a few days. I think you really should take the time it takes to complete the courses. Let's put it that way. For some, it's going to be 3 weeks. For others, it's going to be 6. It really depends on how much time you want to dedicate towards it, or you have. But the advanced course is going live in mid-November. If you want information, subscribe to my newsletter. And yeah, so Mahala is saying, I'm working my way through the chapters in the course. The journeys are pretty powerful. Yeah, they are. That's why, it takes time to integrate it too. It really, it's not just taking a journey and then you're off. No. It's really, you have to sit with the insight as well, right? Because it's kind of your own insight. It's like a glimpse into your own world that you're getting, that you're not always open to. And it's easier when you're guided towards that, or you start noticing how you can be guided towards it. Let's put it that way. So that's something I wanted to say. And then the advanced course is going to go right mid-November until the rest of the year. But you can complete both at your own time, obviously. Unlike the soul communication course, where I was kind of like recording week by week, it's pretty much already pre-recorded, which makes it easier for people. Because I know some are going to sign up way later. Some are going to sign up in a year from now. Some are going to sign up in a few weeks from now. So it's just easier, I think, for people to do it on their own time. And that's just a major announcement I wanted to make. So if you're curious how you can use these techniques on your own self, and you don't always have to book a session, or you don't always have to rely on other people, it's a pretty powerful course to do. I would say both the soul communication course and this course is actually, if you're already having both somehow, it's wow, that's pretty powerful. But this one really focuses mostly on the shamanic techniques that I learned. Let's put it that way. And that was back in like 2017, 2018. So Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say in regards to that. Wow, already 15 minutes in. Okay. So let me go through my notes here. I wanted to talk about the cult mentality that I encountered with the entire Archaix review. But also, did you guys notice YouTube changed their layouts? And I noticed that today on my one account, but it hasn't changed yet on my other account, which is weird. Sometimes these changes don't always happen at the same time throughout every single channel. But it's very irritating to me because when you basically click on the video overview, so this is when you view it on your desktop or laptop, not necessarily on your phone. The live streams are in an entirely different section than the uploads. And then you also have shorts, which I personally don't have shorts on this channel because I think they're quite annoying. But basically, it's changed. And it's not as organized as it used to be, in my opinion. The thumbnails are like way larger and they have like 4 videos in a row instead of, I mean, it depends on which browser you access it from. Sometimes it's going to be 3. So yeah, quite irritating because the live streams are in an entirely section now, entirely different section, meaning for people who only do live streams, which I know quite a few channels who do, you might be wondering, oh, they haven't uploaded in a while until you finally check that live stream section. And it's like, oh, they have uploaded in a while. It just hasn't shown on the video overview. So I personally find that really annoying. You know, I'm not a huge fan of changing many things interface wise. I know when Facebook first started with it, like back in 2010 and 2014 and all of that, they made all these changes in the beginning. I was always annoyed. I was like, why are you changing stuff? Stop changing stuff. You know, people are used to it and all of that. So I feel similar in regards to this entire YouTube change. I don't, you know, change is good. Don't get me wrong. We obviously have to change something. We have to change our appearance. You know, we have to change the way we view things and all of that. But I don't like this new interface thing because I do like to have all videos at a glance, and the entire uploads, shorts, live streams being in different parts is a bit irritating to me personally, but maybe it helps other people. I'm not really sure. So, yeah, just a word on the entire Archaix cult. I'm not even sure where to start with it. First of all, there's another channel out there, and you guys may or may not be interested in that channel. I don't know. I haven't really had the time to check them out a whole lot. I know they are live streaming right now too, so you might want to hop on over to their live stream. But basically, Chalk Body Outline has a lot of videos debunking Archaix, the entire Archaix lie, how he basically is contradicting himself with everything he's saying, how his predictions are ridiculous, how this, how that, whatever. Okay, I think he has like 5 to 10 videos somehow on his channel at this point. So it's almost like a life mission to expose him for him at least. I personally am not sure if I'll make another video on him. I don't feel the need to right now. You know, I think one review video is okay. And I don't even want to review his just the entire prison story having a million contradictions, and also his logo, which not a single person could debunk his logo to me. I found that so interesting. Everyone was writing on, the prison story, he explains it in this video and that video, and you're just dumb for this and that. I'm like, excuse me, you're coming to my channel calling me all kinds of names. You don't get much of a platform. You don't get much of my patience at this point anymore. So Chalk Body Outline leaves every single comment up. Good for him. I personally will not leave every single comment up. And the reason for that simply is if your comment is insinuating that the victim basically asked for being RAPED'd, okay, whether or not that story is made up or not, there's something wrong in your head. I'm just going to put that out there. There's seriously something wrong in your head. Let's just even say this prison story is made up and nothing but just the fact that you come to my channel insinuating that the victim is at fault because they wore a certain type of clothing or they were drugged somehow. And I'm sorry, you're not going to get any of my compassion, and you're not going to get any of my patience in listening to your BS anymore. Okay, this is very triggering material. and you're coming to a woman's channel, and as a woman, I know very well what it means to be harassed, to be like under all these accusations. We all know, we've all heard the same BS from guys. Oh, it's because you wore that mini skirt, you were calling for it, you were asking for it. No, I'm not going to tolerate any of that. Okay, it's dangerous. And no matter if you are a man or a woman, you do not deserve to have boundaries overstepped, and no one is allowed to overstep any of your boundaries at any point in your life. So I'm not going to tolerate those comments on my channel. Okay, that's why those comments are not going to fly. They're going to disappear, because I'm not even going to respond to those anymore in the future. And I think it's very sick. And I think it's just another part of the entire cult mentality that I observed, not just with the entire Archaix cult, but also New Age cult. Okay. So that's just one thing. Another thing was that people got triggered by the entire X thing. If you guys don't follow my channel, you will not understand. Everything's a deception. Okay. They're giving you, so you're giving consent to certain things when you watch ad commercials, when you basically click something, when you're saying yes, but you really mean no. You're giving consent subconsciously, under hypnosis, under a spell, and you don't even realize you are. And they're rubbing it right below your noses, and the entire X in his name is another factor to that. Okay. It's all meant to put you under a spell, for you to give consent energetically, for them to pull off an agenda that you can't even dream of at this point. Not a single person was able to debunk the entire logo thing. And that really pissed me off, because I got so many comments on, this is why, blah, blah, blah. He went in prison for blah, blah, blah. Oh, please forgive him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Disregard the first 10 minutes of that review video, debunk the logo for me. And not a single person was able to do that. Not a single person even took that serious, in my opinion. They were like, oh, I think his friend came up with that. Whatever. It doesn't matter if your friend came up with that logo. You're displaying it all over your channel, and it's putting people in a hypnosis. You want to deny that? You can't deny that at this point. Slow-mo the logo and see all the shit that's put in that logo. It's faces, it's certain symbology. It's like what, the flower of life that's all over that logo. That puts people under a spell. That's exactly the same stuff that the New Age uses to put people under hypnosis. So please debunk that. Not a single person was able to debunk that, because you're not. Because this guy is full of BS, and we know he is. At this point, I think we can all see he is. There's something wrong, right? I mean, there's something wrong with his story. There's something wrong with his background. There's something wrong with his videos. I don't even have to watch his videos to really go deeper into that, because I actually don't care. I want to have other videos up on here. I want to have videos explaining why the cross is a deception and why it keeps people in hypnosis. Just as a reference, Christianity was based on a cross, right? On the story of the cross. And what's Christianity? Like, people have been killed in the words of Christianity, under the pretenses of Christianity, all of that. So yeah, that's just something for another video. And there were quite a few Christians that actually commented on that review video. And I'm just like, are you like, no, this is not a Christian channel. I'm sorry, go elsewhere. Like, I don't have much compassion right now. I really don't have much patience. And people have to start understanding the message. And if they don't understand it, you can't just pluck one little video out of the 400 plus videos that I have on this channel, be like, oh, that's the one I like. The rest is not for me. I don't know. I mean, that's not really, for me, that's kind of cheating. There's so many concepts that are being covered, but whatever you're getting out of it, you're getting out of it. So that's all I have to say to that too. So is it a cult? It is a cult, like, basically, let's just go through a few of these. I mean, Chalkbody Outline even said, like, he commented on a few comments that I received, and he was basically like, these are exactly the same comments that I am getting on my channel. So he has one video out there that's like almost at like 2.5K views. And I went to that video because all of a sudden, from one day to another, I was getting like 10 plus comments out of nowhere. And this is when the video was already out for a few days. I'm like, okay, was this video shared somewhere? Like, this makes no sense. It didn't pop up in the algorithms because YouTube is suppressing anything that's related to this. So it must have been shared somewhere. And I get these weird, nasty comments, people saying like, oh, sex offender doesn't necessarily mean, and I'm like, no, 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 we're not going down that route because this is wrong, in my opinion. And you still haven't debunked the logo. So sorry, you're not getting an ear here. But basically, I went to his channel, his one video, and the same people that were commenting on my video that same day were commenting on his video. And I'm just like, is this a nightmare come true? Like the same trolls that are coming to my channel are coming to his channel on the exact same day. It's ridiculous. It was like, are you insane? Like, you seriously think people are not going to put one and one together? You're just trolling two channels at this point. So I actually told him, I was like, hey, listen, that same person commented on my channel too. And why are you wasting your energy with them? Because he actually does, have like a discussion with these people. And I'm like, I'm not wasting my energy with these people. These people are nuts. They're plain out nuts. There was this one British woman who she just wouldn't let it go. She would have the strangest comment too. And I'm like, I don't care what you have to say. Like, make a video about it. You have your own channel up. So anyhow, so I told him it's the exact same stuff. And he's like, yeah, he's getting the exact same comments on his video too. Like, this is even a month ago. Where he's like, it's almost like AI bots that are coming out of the woodwork somehow. So maybe half of the people are AI bots. I don't know. It makes no sense to me at this point. But I just want to say that, if you want to argue, go to his channel. He'll have a live stream where you can argue all day long with him. And he won't censor you guys either. The reason I'm censoring is because I don't tolerate disrespect and I don't tolerate distractions. And if you're either of those or both of those, you're kind of lost here. That's all. Ashes to ashes, much respect and love. People are hypnotized by these people like Archaix. This is when I noticed something was wrong. They start speaking like him and obsessing. Yeah, that's correct. It's like a cult. It's like a proper cult. I bought 2 of his books, but then I saw the hardcore followers. Reminds me of the Owen Benjamin Bears, though I actually don't know those at all. Yannick is saying, so the cross is a symbol of hypnosis. So the cross symbol was hijacked by religion. Okay, so the cross initially stood for, the cross stands for what? Jesus dying at the cross. And while a certain part of Jesus died at the cross, he actually came back. He didn't come back. He kind of splintered himself off. And I want to make a different video on that because this is technology. I just did another interview with Adam from Sugar Tree Truth, and I'll put it up at some point on this channel too. But we talked about the technology in Atlantis. And like I already said beforehand, Atlantis never ended. The technology that they had then, they carried forward. We're still dealing with it. So there's certain types of AI. There's the AI that we're working with right now, like that camera, the laptop screen, all of that is AI. But there's also AI called the clone bodies, the robotoids. There's AI called all these AI structures they have around you, like the astral entities. The watchers, I want to talk about my watchers. I actually saw my watchers in the astral and what they looked like exactly. It was quite freaky. All of that is a form of AI technology that carried over from Atlantean times here, which we're still in this entire rerun of Atlantis. It never ended. We're just in this nightmare that never ends because something went very wrong in Atlantis, in the original Atlantis. Let's put it that way. And so Jesus was able to kind of splinter himself. Joshua. His name was Joshua. Jesus was a name that the religion and the church put onto him, but his name was Joshua. He was able to splinter him off at the cross, so he's able to leave one part behind and move on with the other part. Whether that part looked like him, I'm not 100% sure. It was like a shadow of himself, basically. And so the entire cross story is irrelevant. He lived on. He moved on. He went elsewhere because they were persecuted. They were legit persecuted. Him and the group he was with was persecuted. That's what this channel is going through right now. Modern day persecution. It's like a rewind or rerun of what a lot of us have experienced throughout history, right? Like a lot of us were persecuted in the medieval ages, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. So he was persecuted. They had to leave Israel, wherever they were, and move on elsewhere. And so the church and religion took the concept of the cross and made it into this, you have to wear this cross, you have to worship this cross. There's a cross beneath the Vatican right now, and it's a huge soul trap. That's what the cross does. Okay? The cross is nothing good. Let's put it that way. The cross is in the way between the truth and deception. And when someone comes with a huge cross in their name, I already know it's deception. I don't have to go around and analyze, oh, it's X factor mathematics. No, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And this person knows it either unconsciously, subconsciously, or not consciously. They know it somehow. Everything about this name Archaix rings controlled op. Okay, every single thing. Like Arc, the entire Arc realm, Archangels, Arc this, Archaic, all of that is a realm you don't want to deal with, because that really drags you further into the deception. And AI, Arc AI, is it an AI bot we're dealing with? Like his imagery, when he was actually taking the pictures every single year, like some of his eyes sometimes look like AI. I do want to point that out too. Okay, it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot of soul in there. And the X is deception. All right. So in short, that's why if people don't want to see that, then that's good. Then go elsewhere. Go to a religious channel. I don't care. Go where you feel comfortable, but don't troll this channel. Like, you're not going to have a platform, because this is my platform. And this channel is already persecuted the way it is. I'm not going to tolerate much more persecution here. Okay? Like, right now it's really important just to get the word out there. And I'm not here to put people more in a hypnosis or under a spell, you know? This is about critically thinking and energetically feeling what's really going on. Protestant religion, like baptism, knew that the symbol cross wasn't good. I used to go there when I was young. Judaism doesn't use a cross. Islam doesn't use a cross. You know, there are a lot of religions out there that actually don't use a cross. He's making loads of money off these people too. I don't have an issue with people making an income off of anything. I make an income too. But there's certain deceptive practices where people are, because someone was commenting on one of the Dolores Cannon videos, oh, she's charging as much as a doctor would charge. And I'm like, okay, I mean, this person supposedly has, 20, 30 years of experience. Why wouldn't she charge that much? Honestly, people, you know how much my vet charges me? Vet school is the biggest sham out there. I actually know a person who's a vet. It's the biggest sham out there. They barely go to medical school. You know, they barely even know what they're doing, and they charge so much for actually poisoning my pet or poisoning pets in general. So if you really want to be like, okay, she's a sham artist, doctors are sham artists too. You know, like vets are sham artists too. But I don't have an issue with people charging money for what they're doing if they're putting energy into it. It's just the entire, it's a cult like, it's really like the worshiping following that kind of gets me. Okay. And that's just a little rant that I had on that topic. Didn't even want to rant along with that. Okay, so here was an interesting comment on my BitChute. Okay, Electron 7. Thank you for waking me up about our souls being fooled into getting trapped over and over again in this realm. I honestly want out of this reincarnation cycle. I do not want to come back here anymore. I'm so sick and tired of this place. And although I haven't received a deja vu in over 15 years, I do feel that all this experience is just repetitive. Can you please help me and detail me more concerning escaping this cycle once our time comes to leave our physical bodies? I kind of have to laugh because it's like, okay, you want step-by-step instructions. Show me exactly what to watch out for, what to avoid, and what to do so that I do not get my memory wiped out and returned back to this place again. Okay, so I think if we had step-by-step instructions, I wouldn't be here. I want to point that out. Okay. I think every single person who's talking about this would not be here. There were some comments on the specific video, and I think it was the Soul Trap video, where this one person was like, I think for some people it's not going to be possible to escape the light because they're kind of magnetically pulling them towards the light. So this is when you pass on and you're being dragged into the light, just to be clear on what we're talking about. So I thought about that too, that they're kind of putting something on the light, that they're actually pulling people into it, because that's the only way it would really make sense. I know for a fact, because I was actually pushing some of these ghosts, like back in the days, like 5, 6 years ago, I was actually pushing some of these ghosts into the light. I know for a fact that some of these ghosts don't want to go into the light, and they know they don't want to go into it. So they're kind of ghosting around in this in-between realm, which some people call 4D or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So even when you pass on, so ghosts usually exist because it was a very traumatic death. That's the main reason you would even have something like ghosts. If it's too traumatic for you to really process all at once, something gets left behind. So, and I do think they exist because I've dealt with so many over the past decades or whatever, my entire life. I do know there's something out there that's just creepy. I went to Salem 5 years ago and I was staying in this Airbnb and it was so haunted. It had like 3 ghosts in it at once. I could not sleep for the 2 days I was in it. So I do believe they exist. Something exists that you could probably call a ghost. Let's put it that way. It's not what they show in cartoons and movies. That's something else that's just ridiculous. But so it could very well be. So just being aware that they might magnetically pull you towards the light could already help. Of you being like, I'm not going to get pulled towards this. I'm not going to get pulled towards this. Okay, so that could be one step for some. Others, and there was this NDE, near death experience, that I saw online somehow, where this one person was saying how they were pulled towards this purple light or violet light. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So it's not even that white light anymore for some, but they're kind of putting a different color on it. So just any type of light maybe could be a deception. Being aware of that too. I think when we pass on, we're going to have this short period, perhaps, where we're going to see everything for what it is. And that's before they kind of get to you, with whatever stuff they want to get to you, like the deceased grandmother and all of that. So a step-by-step instruction, it really depends on how you die, right? Because for some, it's going to be an accident, like a car accident. For others, it's going to be old age. And for others, it's going to be something entirely different. So maybe expecting to die could be helpful. Like, let's just say you're 80, 90, whatever years old, and you're like, okay, I know I'm going to pass on soonish, which they are really trying to get to these older people, as I already discussed in previous videos, because I saw it in my own relatives. And they're really trying to get to the consciousness of these older people too, because they're trying to take them out of body already before they pass on. And they tried to do that with different techniques, like substituting a real eye with a glass eye, really trying to get to their body with all these illnesses and diseases, which I literally can't believe this. But my one friend in Germany was basically telling me, oh yeah, cancer is natural for anyone. Like, that's just because we live longer than we ever did before. And the body's naturally just going to have cancer in old age. And I'm like, that's such rubbish. And that is so, because she probably, she's a mainstream person, mainstream sheep, took all her stuff too, all her jibbity, what's. I'm like, wow, that is the most rubbish I've heard in a long time. And this makes me happy. I actually don't talk to a lot of these people these days anymore, or at least, whatever. But basically, some people are under the perception, just because the mainstream tells you, oh yeah, it's normal to, sorry, something else came in. It's normal for the body to develop cancer because now we're so old. We used to be 1,000 years old at one point. What we're right now is the decimation of who we really were. So I don't really understand any of that. Um, yeah, I'll go through your comments in a few. So I think this entire cancer thing, personally, I think we can live as long as we want to. It's just that how can we kind of forego the entire aging process? That's still something that I want to read on more because some people are able to reverse the aging at this point. I talk to people who are able to reverse their entire skin, the entire wrinkles that come up, people who are able to reverse their grays in their hair, even, and all through intention, not even necessarily stuff they took. But it does help to eat in a certain way, to eat in a healthy way, not, in the garbage type of way that they want to push on us and everything. So yeah, nutrition can be important, of course, but it's not the only factor. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. And with all these other diseases that they're throwing at us, the entire like Lyme disease, like the most current disease, like all of that, they really are throwing it all at us so that we kind of lose our minds and we kind of age quicker too. Um, yeah, but I might want to discuss that in a different video because it's also a sensitive topic. So I do think, you hear stuff like, oh, this grandmother just turned 150 or whatever somewhere in Indonesia. So you hear about all these people like kind of who are not in the limelight, who are able to turn a very old age. I do think it's possible. I personally think I think I would like to turn very old. My goal is to turn a certain age, like a few hundred years old, because I actually don't want to really come back over and over again or whatever. But is it going to be our last lifetime here? I don't know. I'm unsure because the traps are so out there, and it's literally a trap created by AI in the astral too. That's the main issue, from what I can tell. So where was I? I forgot where I was actually at, where I was trying to go at with this. So, oh yeah, the entire right where my friend was saying cancer is like normal. I don't think cancer is normal at all. I think you can even dissolve a lot of these things through your own mind power and willpower. And of course, the right nutrition too. So let's go through a few comments before I forget what I wanted to talk about again. Dr. Sham Good Grift. Don't know who that is. Lots of deception in religion, putting money in the bad place and time. Yeah, and the church always begs for money, right? Like after every mass, the Catholic Church always hands a little thing around and you have to give them something. And they've always been doing that, obviously. So not just the Catholic Church, also other like Protestant or whatever. The one who really creeps me out is Gigi Young. Yeah, we have a lot of videos on Gigi Young. Gigi Young can't even, come here. And I mean, she has to go to other new agers and basically ask them to bully this account and other accounts because she personally doesn't want any paper trail on her, but there are screenshots out there. So no, we wouldn't be here. It's so fake here. They get them with the love bomb too. Yeah, well, the love bomb, I don't know. I do think there's a form, when people are like, oh, and I felt so loved and this, I do think parts of it is true though. And that's like the hardest part, kind of discerning what is really true and what is not true. And so I feel we have these few seconds in between when we pass on and they kind of want to drag us somewhere where they're like, okay, we have to act now and we're not going back in or something like that. Step-by-step instructions. I'm not sure there's going to be step-by-step instruction. For me, step-by-step instruction. Okay, let's go through a few more comments. What if we all together went into the astral realm as a group? So I'm not sure if we can all pass on together. That's the issue. This is what they hate most. Organized resistance, temporal warps, brain warps. When we gather and organize, we find power. William Buhlman is good to listen to regarding the recycling program and forever and on forever consciousness. in on forever consciousness. Okay. Yeah, I don't know any of those. Um, so step-by-step instructions, I'm not sure we're going to be able to be a group if you pass on and the other people don't pass on at that time. But yeah, you could maybe form as a group beforehand and make sure that you're able to get out. Let's put it that way. Um, I think we all have to kind of, with our own mind power, because they're gonna try to separate us no matter what. We just all kind of have to set that huge intention and don't keep the goal, don't forget about the goal. And the goal is to not really go back, to maybe go back to source or wherever you think you want to go back to. So, yeah, maybe just kind of having the intention to go back to source or the creation womb or whatever could be good. Hi to Misha. Hi to Scotty Boy. But how to exit this matrix? I think maybe we need more information too. I don't know. I do think it helps when we live a good life, though. I do have to say that, instead of living a life in misery, we should make the best of what we have right now, anyhow. So some people are like, I can't wait to pass on. And then this being the last lifetime here, it kind of reminds me of a new age stuff too, because I remember back in 2016, 2017, when I was attending all these expos and all of that, I remember a lot of psychics basically predicting, oh, this is going to be your last lifetime here. Not necessarily me, but I heard that, because they sit around these round tables and it's like 20 readers in one room. And you have like one reading done by like a tarot card reader or whatever. And I remember, this is back in 2017. I had just gotten this really bad reading done by someone who was, I don't know if she was high or something, but her eyes were like red, like bloodshot. And it almost felt like she had smoked something before. And I'm like, okay, I understand that you want to access the spirit realm somehow. And sorry, I'm just going to focus on what I want to say. Okay, but it's not fair that you're kind of doing this that you're kind of giving this advice intoxicated. Okay. And so it was it was like a 15-minute long reading. It was really bad. And it didn't make me feel empowered at all. And I was like, oh, this is just all BS, like all these readers. And so as I was exiting my table, which I had paid for this miserable reading, and I'm like, I basically got nothing out of it. I kind of threw the advice over my back. I even talked about it to a friend. So she's like, wow, that was really bad advice. But I basically exited my table. And then I'm standing outside of this room where all the readers are. And this one woman, like she's in her 60s or something, definitely of an older age, she kind of comes out, she's all excited, and she's like, oh my gosh, and this reader said it's going to be my last lifetime here and I'm not coming back, and blah, blah, blah. Even back then I was kind of like, that's dangerous to say, because who are you to say this is going to be your last lifetime here? Like, we don't know, right? Otherwise we probably wouldn't be here. And then second of all, you're kind of putting this false hope and hopium into this person. What if she's going to be dragged back into the reincarnation trap and cycle? So it doesn't ring really true for me. I think we really have to figure out a few plan Bs and Cs. And another one would simply be to create a different space where we can all go to, perhaps like an in-between. And also we kind of have to live our best life. There is a reason we're incarnated here. There's a reason all these entities want to go through you, want to speak to you through all these other mediums and channelers and whatnots. Like all of these astral entities really want to F with you in the astral. They want to come in because they're not incarnated here. They can't do anything. The only person who can do anything is the people who are here. And you can do so much in the 3D, right? You can actually vote. Well, not vote, sorry. But you can actually go out there, if you want to vote, go vote. I know the voting is coming up for a lot of people right now. I was just like in this group today too, like the Freedom Rally group today, and everyone is so excited about the votes coming. I'm like, oh my gosh, votes are just another deception, but whatever, if you need your hopium. So, Yeah, so it was just very eye-opening to kind of find that out, that there's so many entities around you that want to mess with you, or kind of just want to give you this dubious advice through all these other psychics or channelers or whatnots, when really they're doing that to influence however way you go, but you're the one who can really go that way. And there's a reason we need to go a certain way. There's a reason we're here right now. I do strongly believe that in a form or another. Sure, we were tricked to come back here, we were tricked to reincarnate and all of that. We know that. But there are certain things we can do here and influence trajectories that we wouldn't be able to when we're on the other side. Let's put it that way. So, okay, let's go through a few more comments. What was their escape from this evil realm? Back to a non-parasitized pure earth. Yeah, maybe back to another realm. I say live now. I spent too much time trying to figure out what to do. We will know at that time. I know we really do have to live now. I do agree. And it's really important to come back into the moment. I agree, Scotty. If we come this far, we will know what to do. Yeah, maybe the moment you pass on, you'll know what to do. That's another option, right? Because we've already done a lot of work right now. Um, but I think really having that intention of not going down where they want to drag you to, and maybe even seeing that whoever's going to greet you, whatever is going to be, let's just say you're deceased, whatever decides to greet you on the other side, just kind of seeing through that deception too could help a lot. Your comment disappeared. Yeah, tends to happen, right? I know. Sometimes my own comments disappear on here too, believe it or not. I'm not a fan of leaving the body. I don't think we should leave the body. When you leave the body, you're basically doing like astral projection, and entities can really enter your body when you do that. So I definitely do not suggest that at all. Every time I do a shamanic journey, I also really say don't leave your body. We're not leaving our body behind during that, because we need to stay grounded in our body or reclaim that pure original earth. Well, earth is what? Hearts? Hearth? You just kind of switch the letters around. I had a dream a fairy was telling me that this earth was really the moon. I want to talk about the sun and the moon both being artificial too, and where we really are so much stuff to cover, and it's like there's really no time to really cover them. Like, it's crazy. This week has gone by like that. AK Sayani, I had something like an NDE many years. I did not see a singular light or was guided to anything. I did see the entire matrix grids. Matrix grid. Maybe there's more than one grid is what I'm thinking. I could see the energy flow through walls and through bodies. I see that too sometimes in really powerful journeys. I basically see this grid around whatever I'm looking at. But I'm not looking at just another person or what. It's a grid. I agree. It's a grid. Um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people kind of get stuck on the other side too. My brother did that a lot last year, leaving his body. He was full of entities attached and the alcohol as well mixed. It's probably not a good mix with the alcohol. I agree. Like the moon we see is a reflection. Well, I think we have more than one moon. So the moon that people see in Australia and the moon that people see here is a different moon. And also the moon that people see in Europe is a different moon. Coma dreams will force people out. Our own thoughts will play a role in what you will see. Roll with ROLL. So important to keep your thoughts true too. Um, there was a comment further up here. How does the Matrix, as you understand it, differ from what Jason is referring to? I'm a new mom, don't have a lot of time to keep up with everyone's commentary online. I don't follow Jason on what he said. For me, I don't follow any of his stuff. I've never followed his stuff because I don't have to. Something was always off about that guy, and we already kind of discussed it, I think, in the first, when did it start? Like 20 minutes to 33 minutes of this YouTube live, why it's not worth going into either, because you're just giving consent to an agenda they want to roll out, and he's just another player with all of that. Um, okay, hold on. I went through a tunnel of light and water one night in a dream. It was so real. It sucked me up and sent me into some creepy astral like plane. Water, there's something with water going on. Also, I've been removing a whole bunch of stuff out of people's hearts lately in sessions. There's something like lily roses or kind of like water lilies coming up in sessions. And for me, it's just another, I don't want to say new age symbol, but you do find it in the new age. Let's put it that way. And it's definitely, just gonna make sure this is further away. It's definitely messing with people's energies, and it's also dragging them somewhere else. So pretty irritating when it comes up. It has nothing to do whether or not you got the what even. It's just something that came up with a few random people so far. Like a sushi roll, exactly. Um, have you heard of a Christopher J. Smith? I'm not sure. He's kind of new age, but also talks about the false light. No, don't know who that is. Could add him to the list. Raven the Irish guy. Right, is it right on the heart? So it's basically in the energetic heart. Um, it's like an intrusion. And the lily rose or water lily, it kind of keeps the heart open for these entities or the controllers to basically come in and hook into your heart. So there's certain concepts like the heart wall concept, which I personally don't work with a heart wall. But a heart wall basically has to do with you building up so much around your heart that you have to break through that at one point in order to feel again. It's certain stuff that happens. Like in childhood, you experience this situation, a heart wall goes up. In adulthood, you experience that situation, another heart wall. So you have like this 13-foot long heart wall or whatever made out of different materials like plastic or whatever material you're comfortable with. For some, it's going to be wood. And it can be effective, but when I don't see that in session, I see more like other stuff. So I usually see like even a nest of cords. For me, that's almost like a heart wall in that sense. And then these new like just random things like intrusions in the heart, like these water lilies, lily roses in people's hearts. And those are usually there, or when I was already discussing like this plasticky thing that keeps people's hearts open occasionally, especially when they got the what. But with these random new intrusions, it's for other beings to kind of hook into that. So you want to get that out of there. So I think that kind of explains it in a form. Jason is trying to say that Enoch and Key is our benefactor, just like Elena Danon says. Yeah, the entire Enki story doesn't really resonate with me. I understand where people are getting from. I think there's more to it. Let's put it that way. Quartz the Fogel crystals. Yes, I always wanted a Fogel crystal. I think they have a lot of symbology in them too, though. That's the problem. Have you touched on these life wave patches, the latest thing? No. You can take certain herbs that are DNA healing. So I personally don't take any patches or whatever. Certain herbs are DNA healing too. And you do want to take it regularly. So whatever helps with all of that. Whatever helps, honestly. Like right now, yeah, I don't know if I want to come up with a video on detoxing and all of that. I think one of them was actually taken down from my YouTube channel. But if so, I might put it on my BitChute or whatever. There's so much that you can do um, with natural means already. And I haven't looked into any of that. I was in touch with this one holistic person who kind of, I wouldn't call her a naturopath, but something, kind of knew a lot about, oh, this herb does that, this herb does that. And we were literally dissecting one of our teas. And she's like, this is why that herb heals the DNA and yada yada. And I'm like, okay, so I've been already doing that for the past year or so. Let's look something up. Okay. So what's going on with extreme pain in neck and head these days? Pressure in your neck and head. Yeah, for me, it's usually migraines. So I guess that would be around similar. Could be a lot of reasons. Could be that they're pushing it onto you, or that you're literally just feeling. Honestly, EMF radiation can do a lot of these things too. Like EMF toxicity can evoke a lot of these symptoms. Mold toxicity can do the same. I know a lot of people are dealing with mold stuff too. It can literally just be radiation that they're pumping through the air towards you, especially with building up one of the most recent towers, let's put it that way. So it can be a lot of tech that we're picking up on. It can also just be intense things around us, people that are just flat out evil. I want to say that. I mean, it's just, there's a lot that can go into it. But yeah, I'm surprised. I haven't had a headache or migraine in like over a week, I think. And usually they were pushing a lot of, when I was still doing a lot of sessions, there was like this one stretch where I felt I was doing like a session a lot, like it was crazy. Right after the Lionsgate portal thing, they were pushing one migraine after another onto me. And I was like, I can barely function with this, And now they're trying to push other things onto me. So yeah, it's always this, it's always that. And then over a year ago, they were trying to push the entire mold onto me. So I actually still have to detox from all of that. It's crazy. Once you see through it and all this stuff they're trying to push onto you, it's like, it's just another layer. Like, it's okay, wow, now I have to deal with this, So it just really takes away from the time that you usually would have to create stuff, like create content, create this. Pressure on his sternum, is that an attachment or a good thing? Doesn't seem like a good thing to me. I probably would have that checked out. I had a problem with that before, leaving mine open. Anything or everything would come right in. Yeah, you want to close that down. Thinking you mean your heart. Maybe they use the water to pull our memories out. Entities can work through water, is something that I found. Water is interesting because the entire underwater world, like them randomly finding civilizations underwater, all of that. There's a lot that goes into water. I probably deserves a different video on it. But yeah, like water in and of itself can be an entire entity in and of itself, and water can also cause a lot of damage, right? So mold is created through an interaction with water, and mold is pretty prevalent right now all over the world. So yeah. Is water the culprit? I don't know. Water also has to do with emotions and tears and the hurricanes, all of it. So there's a lot that goes into water. They're messing with water, and then the entire what they put into water, and our bodies being partially water. Whatever the percentage is, which I don't think it's the large percentage that they say it is, but I do think we are made of water molecules in a form or another. I think I know who you're talking about. He's been around a long time. I don't even know who that person is. Yeah, EMF. So EMF is another thing. EMF toxicity. Lower back for me. I don't have back trouble, but damn, 1 week hard to turn. Yeah, they've been pushing back issues on me too. I never have back issues at all, but after airing a few videos, I just kept getting backstabbing here, backstabbing there. So it's literally like another form of backstabbing when it really hurts in a form where, you just got to imagine someone put a knife in there. Thoughts can be very powerful. You want to say psychic attacks come through thoughts. I do strongly believe so. And I've experienced a lot of those as well. People evil. So yeah, especially when you're in a very toxic environment, let's just say toxic environment at work or whatever, that can legit give you a headache, right? I mean, it really depends on how bad it is. I remember working in a really toxic environment, and it's usually the stomach that gets impacted first, though. It's like the Truman Show for real, yes. It's literally 24/7 too. I don't even know. John Lamb Lash has a good one from the Gnostic Warning. Name sounds familiar, but I'm not really sure who that is. Regarding energies, the water with sun and music frequency could be great. Well, the sun is artificial, it appears. So yeah, I don't know. Mold roll, sushi roll. My fingernails mainly hold my phone for hours. They look fungus now. My 2 nails look like reptiles' nails for months. I really felt the EMF from my phone when I was in Australia. Like I literally felt my hand was burning when I was about to touch my phone. So I don't know if it's like nails for other people. Exact feeling like I got shanked. Yep. So for me, usually the lower back has to do with backstabbing. I know my back's fine. I personally don't have back issues, but I definitely was stabbed in the back after one review video and also one of the later ones. So yeah, it's not pleasant. It's really not pleasant because when you got to bend, you got to pick things up, all of that. So it's funny how hard they try to get us down and we still overcome it. Yes. You said the chakra system can be hijacked. What about the menstrual cycle? I mean, why keep looping on and on once the purpose is done in a woman's life? And the entire thing that it's also hooked to like the moon cycles or whatever. Yeah, that's a good question. Pets also have that though. They do go in heats by nature. So I think there might be something more to the entire menstrual cycles. I don't know, something worth reading on in the future. I personally, the entire thing, when they're trying to give these birth control pills to teenagers these days so that they don't even have any menstrual cycle anymore and all, I think there's a certain nature that goes into menstrual cycles. And I also think maybe it's unnatural that certain women stop in their 40s or 50s or whatever. Because I do think women were able to give birth to children for like hundreds of years. Let's just say they were 90 years old or 100 years old. So I think it's all been hijacked in a form or another. I don't know if it's necessary to bleed every month or however you want to call it, but it might just be another form of symbolism for something. Pets do go in heat too, though. I just want to point that out. Just going to go through a few of these notes that I had written down. Okay, so what's your view on zodiac signs? I like learning about them, but do you think it might be part of the matrix? I do think so. I think it's a code to be cracked, and the mainstream view they're giving us on that is incorrect. But I think similar to certain type of numbers like numerology, there's a code behind the zodiacs, and it's all about how can you crack that code. So just the entire fact that they have 12 zodiacs, 12 is kind of the number of sacrifice and everything, that kind of keeps you in and of itself in the matrix. What about the 13th sign that they're trying to push right now? I feel it's just another confusion they're trying to do. What is it called? Like Ophiuchius or whatever. I don't even know how to pronounce that. But there are different types of ways that you can read the zodiacs. Like they had a different one in the medieval ages than they do now. Even Western astrology has changed. So I think there's a code to it. It's just who's going to crack that code or who's going to do it the right way or in a way that makes the most sense. And what we're seeing in the mainstream right now, all over those gossipy type of forums, I don't think that's the way that cracks the code. So I personally am not really drawn to it. I think it can be fascinating, but I think it's just another way to be like, oh, this is why you're like that. This is why you're like that. I'm like, okay, even if I knew nothing of this, I'm still able to create the life that I want to. I'm still way more powerful than all these zodiac predictions. So for me personally, it's never really 100% resonated. I understand why people are fascinated by it, but I'm just reading through the comments here. But I just have never really felt drawn to really work with zodiacs. I don't know if Vedic astrology is different. There's just different interpretations of it. So probably someone who's studied astrology could give you a better answer. I can tell you one thing. I had a few readings that were very bizarre. And in one of them, this one person she gave in my wrong birth hour. So she had the day right, but it was basically like 12 hours reversed somehow. Instead of a certain time, it was like 12 hours ahead or before. I don't even know. And the entire reading just shifted once we corrected the time. And both readings had kind of resonated with me to a certain degree. And I'm like, that was the point where I was like, okay, this is garbage. Like, this is just BS. This was not even really meant for me. And yet, certain things, I don't know. It really depends, right? So after that happened, I was just kind of like, let's give zodiacs a break. Maybe not for me right now, but sure, other people might feel drawn to it. Zodiac is the calendar, the Gospels, tarot, Torah. Well, there's certain symbology and numerology in tarot too, and you can use it to your own advantage. If you're not calling in all these entities. Like we had a discussion in my Telegram group, and there was a real nutcase person in there who's basically like, tarot's demonic. You're calling in demonic entities and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, not really. You can use it to your own advantage. You don't have to call in anything, and you are more powerful than the cards. So you don't need the cards. They can show you a different side of the story, though. They really can. And I personally work with cards. I don't do it 24/7, as you guys know, but I don't villainize them. I do think it's odd when you have all these angel card readers and what Doreen Virtue type of style readers. Sure, But I think we can use everything to our advantage. You can even use a pendulum to your advantage. I don't think a pendulum is demonic. You can use your body as a pendulum. I sometimes do it in the supermarket. Before I'm about to buy something, you can swing back or forth and your body's going to give you a sign. You don't have to do it all the time. At one point, you're just not going to do it anymore. And I feel similar about all these divination methods. But for people who are just starting off and who kind of have to start somewhere, certain types of divinations can be a great way to be in touch with your own intuition. And that's why I'm not going to demonize any of these things necessarily, but I am teaching you how to do it in a way that's probably the best way to do for people who are just starting off, because I'm not teaching it in a way of, call in Archangel Michael, call in the angels. On the contrary, I'm teaching you how to, and that's what I have courses out there on too. I'm teaching you how to do it from a self-empowering perspective, and how you can even interpret cards from a standpoint where you don't even need the guidebook, right? Because it's all up to you on how you're interpreting them. So that's just a quick explanation in regards to that. So zodiacs, yeah, it could be similar. I feel zodiacs are a code and you need to crack the code. And what you see in the mainstream is not cracking the code. It's putting you more under the hypnosis in a way. Okay, wow. 1 hour, 15 minutes in. Studying the zodiac really woke me up to the enclosed system. My iPhone was haunting. Okay, hold on. My iPhone was haunting me and getting very hot. I was listening. It took my hammer beat. Okay. All right. It's interesting, even like wow sometimes, but I don't see it answering any real questions that would change our situation. I know I don't really know what it changes when you know. I mean, I do think, okay, being in what is it, the Saturn return? I do think those type of things in your life can be helpful to know, because I do think a lot of us are experiencing that in an extreme way, in a form. When I had my Saturn return, everything changed, and I didn't even know it was due to the Saturn return, but everything basically changed in my life. And then a few years after that, or like quite recently, I was like, oh yeah, I was in my Saturn return. That's why I gave up this job and did this and did that and whatever. So I can attest to certain things that, yeah, like Saturn returns, certain Mercury retrogrades, all of that, they do have an influence on certain things, but I wouldn't have that govern your life. And I think the stars or astrology, whatever it is, it's so complex that it really can't be summarized very easily. What exactly is on the cusp supposed to mean? Combination of both signs? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not on the cusp, but I do know people who are on the cusp. I know 2 people who are born March 20th. So these are 2 guys. One guy, in my opinion, is more like a Pisces. The other guy is more like an Aries. So I find that quite interesting. But obviously, there's so much that goes into that, right? Like, what's your moon sign? What's your this and that? And that's kind of where things get lost on me, because I'm like, okay, that is enough. Like, this is, you can just immerse yourself for hours and hours and days and months into this and still never learn what you really need to learn. But yeah, with the cusp, I don't know. I'm not on the cusp, so I can't answer that. I think on the cusp means whatever sign you resonate more with. That's kind of what you go with. Tarot is Torah, is Rota, the wheel. March 20th on the cusp. Well, you actually said it, March 20th on the cusp. Yeah, I literally know 2 people who are born on March 20th. It was so fascinating to see how one guy was literally more like an Aries. He even had red hair, kind of like that flaming Aries type of thing, fiery sign. And the other one was literally more like a Pisces, like very pulled back, deep in his emotions, like those kind of things. Hammer Justice, I like it. The wheel is the zodiac, which is the tarot. Oh, gotcha. Okay. It could be all related, yeah. You can find out zodiac signs with the tarot. Like Queen of Cups is Gemini, Cancer, cusp, and all of that. I do the same, sway forward or sway back. Yes, I think we can use divination with everything. That's what someone says. The archangel thing is creepy. Yeah, it's just dragging you further into their realm. The same with Archaix. The outside Biffy was pure joy. It's what I think of AI. I use a pendulum from time to time and pull tarot cards for myself. I think the reason tarot works is because our consciousness is like the battery for all of this. Maybe it all balances off or reflects. Maybe. Um, I wouldn't say tarot. I think tarot gives you insight, and it can be a form of divination. But I wouldn't necessarily just rely on the card. I pull cards sometimes for certain situations too. And I pulled this one. I pulled the Tower card when I was in Germany. Before I went to Germany, and I knew I had to give my dog to someone, which turned out to be a disastrous situation, which I haven't really discussed on this channel. But I pulled all negative card. I pulled the tarot card, and I was like, okay, I wonder what this means. Does that mean she's going to pass away? I hope not. That's always like my fear that she's like something's going to happen because she's under target. I know that very clearly because I talked to other owners who have the same dog I have, and that dog is never attacked, like never has the same energy level. My dog has been attacked from day one, and every single dog park out there, random bicycles try to ride over my dog. Like my dog's under attack left and right because I'm under attack. And being aware of that helps, but still, it sucks. Honestly, it really does because I want her to have a happy life too. So I pulled these very negative cards, like tarot card, this tarot card. That I'm like, well, it's still not going to deter me from going on this vacation I've been wanting to go on for the past 2.5 years. So I'm really curious how this is going to turn out. As it turns out, she comes back with all these issues. And I'm like, okay, now I know what the Tower card meant in this situation. So it's more like a warning sign or what could possibly go wrong, in my opinion. But I wouldn't base decisions off of it necessarily, right? Like some people really base their decisions off of cards and whatever. I'm like, no, live your life, go out there. It can give you warning signs, potential situations, but whatever, I wouldn't change it. I mean, I would change certain things. I would change the person I would have given her to and all of that. But in hindsight, you're always smarter anyhow. But it's whatever. You can't change it, So I just got to live with whatever we have right now. So, but the cards did warn me beforehand. And so much to that. But I'm not going to base my life off of it. Absolutely not. Like the cards come from our consciousness pulling them. It's a form of, it's an extension. It can be an extension of your intuition. How many people's signs change when you bring back the 13th sign? My sign would actually change. Last year I had Tower in every reading, and this year 7 of Swords. Well, that's an improvement. Well, Archaix seems like it should be water, not air. It could all be corrupted. I agree, because it has aqua in it too. Because the owner, I go through the same with my animals. They know how to hurt us. I went with no pets for years till I said, screw them. That's what I say. You kind of got to live your life, right? Okay, I don't know. Is this video still on? Okay, so what was the main? Let me just look at what I wrote in the caption. Yeah, I guess we kind of covered everything I wanted to talk about today. We might just, let me see if I have more notes. Well, I'm happy I still hopped onto here because I don't know if I would have been able to in the next few days. It's quite busy, it appears. Let's pull this up real quick. Seems to be working. It's like, is the internet connection popping out again? You never know on a Friday night. Oh, talking about the X. It's another thing I want to point out. SpaceX, another cross deception. Just replace the X with the cross or deception, and you'll have your answer to pretty much everything out there. Here's an interesting thing. So there's something called the Luddite Club. Teenagers giving up smartphones for flip phones. I already started noticing that here in New York. Randomly on the subway, teenagers having flip phones. I'm like, oh, that's interesting that the trend is going backwards. So there's an actual Luddite club. And they're basically meeting up in libraries. They don't have a smartphone anymore. I personally think that's great in a way. And they're not really pressured. So for teenagers, I think this is great because social media can really be so depressing for teenagers. How many likes does this person have? How many followers do I have or not have? I do think you need to almost have a certain type of maturity to even have a smartphone at this point, because when you're a child and teenager and you see your friends basically, I don't know, having like 100,000 of these fake followers or whatever, you're like, oh, what's going on in my life? I'm not popular. But then again, some adults play that game too. They just kind of rack up their Facebook friends. They kind of just send out a whole bunch of requests to random people they don't know. So I do think, like, as a teenager, this makes sense, because as a teenager, you should kind of be focusing on development and developing yourself. So I think this is great. They're going back to flip phones. Not really sure if they're missing out on certain things, like certain technologies, though. But I think overall, it's a great trend. The meaning of tomorrow. So tomorrow comes from morrow, Morrow. It's basically two words, T-O and then morrow. I didn't know that until I started looking it up. Certain spells they put in the English language, this could be one of them. The entire triple words. Scotty Boy's thing is hidden. Let me kick the out of that old man. You video it. That's the mindset of kids today. Depends on where, but for some kids, I do agree, Scotty Boy. I was looking up Australian jobs, and it appears a lot of these jobs, especially, kind of like the backpacker jobs or whatever, they would be requiring you to be double what. I find that a bit shocking. I'm still subscribed to a lot of these agencies that I kind of signed up to when I was there in 2019. And legit, every job offer that they have, no matter where you want to work, in an office, in a factory, whatever. Oh, yeah, and you need to have the first and the second to work here. And that's in Australia. I don't know if it's all over Australia or if it's just like New South Wales and Brisbane, but yeah. Pro-Luddite Trent, I know, right? SpaceX with Elon Musk. Exactly. Here's another tip for you. Whenever you guys read the Bible, if you ever do, replace God with a God and see how the entire narrative changes. And I want to talk about that in a future video too. But basically, the entire God agenda that they're reinforcing in the Bible, it's just a mix between several different gods, and they're throwing it all together. And I do think a lot of us used to be those gods as well, but that might be for a different video. Australia is still a joke right now with all that crap. So it's true. I guess a lot of people need the double what in Australia. I was quite shocked when I saw it. I was like, wow, I thought, like Europe's kind of getting rid of that. The US is kind of getting rid of that. They're even backtracking. They're repaying people here in New York, supposedly. But that's only like city type of jobs, not necessarily like So the city is more like the government type of jobs, not necessarily like, oh, you worked for an office, you're going to get back paid, or you worked for Broadway, you're going to get back paid. I would like to see that happen. I really do want to see Broadway back paying all their performers who had to quit because of that. Not that it was a whole lot, but still. Um, so yeah, because a lot of them just kind of, drink the Kool-Aid and went on with the agenda. Which is why I'm currently not supporting any of that Broadway crap, because I'd rather support other types of things out there. Um, but yeah, it was still surprising to me. It was a bit surprising. I do have to say that. I don't hear anyone talking about it like they're just hoping it goes away. 2 creation stories in the first chapter of the Torah. Yeah, I don't read any of that. Facebook breeds jealousy between people. E. Musk is AI. You just got to look at his eyes, and you got to look at his wife and all of that. They're all AI. Here's an interesting comment about if we're calling in our children, are we kind of reinforcing them in this reincarnation trap? Yeah, I never thought about it. First of all, I'm not really sure. Are we really calling in kids, or are we just having kids? That's another thing. This summer, I really had to, I was out of my normal environment. I was kind of traveling throughout a few other countries. Just looking at all these different parenting techniques and societal norms that you've like different norms in Europe and here. Just looking at all of that, it really got me thinking too, why do people actually have kids? A lot of times I do think the reasons are, I don't want to say wrong, but it's just not a very conscious reason. Let's put it that way. And I do have a lot of friends who just got kids because they wanted to stay with that guy and the guy wanted to leave them. And it's just awful, right? It's like, okay, let's just tie them to us because of this kid. And of course, it never works out and they end up being like a single mom or whatever. But whatever reason people want to have kids, I kind of just, because of course you're at an age where you're just looking back and you're like, wow, I dodged a bullet by not having a kid in my early 20s or this and that. Not that I'm saying having a kid in the early 20s is bad. I know people who did. It's just that there's a certain type of maturity level that I do think it makes it easier maybe when you're of a more mature age, maybe, but to each their own. So I'm just looking at all these different reasons people have kids, and I'm just like, wow. So there's this conscious part of parenting, like conscious parenting, and there's kind of like this unconscious projecting all your stuff into that relationship and onto the kid. And it was fascinating, but I'm not sure how many people really called in their kids before having kids. I would be curious to know if anyone here had children because they were consciously calling them in or just because they had a desire to have kids. I can kind of say with me and my pet, I knew like 2+ years in advance, I wanted a pet. I actually knew my entire life. Like I grew up with a pet and my dog was very old. And when I was a teenager, the dog passed away at the ripe age of 16 or 17 years old. And ever since I was a teenager up until now, I always knew at one point I wanted my own dog again because I kind of just missed it. I missed having something like that, like just the entire unconditional love. But then of course you need the time, you need to take care of it. You need to find a dog sitter when you have to go somewhere, just those kind of things, especially if you're not in a family, because when you're in a family setting, your kids could take care of the dog, just all those things. So obviously your lifestyle is kind of determined by that, because when you have a dog, your lifestyle kind of goes towards what the dog needs. So for the longest time, I knew it just really wasn't the right thing. I couldn't have taken my dog with me to Australia because Australia's immigration policies are so strict that you would have to put your dog in a 6-month-long kennel thing or whatever. Anyhow, long story short, I knew for the past 2 years I kind of wanted a dog, and I could really feel that there was a soul out there, because basically what it is, a dog is a soul, right? There was a soul out there that was kind of calling somehow, like kind of my heart center too. but it never really felt 100% right. I was staying in places where it didn't feel right to have it then. My friend had a litter of dogs, but I knew I wasn't able to satisfy those dogs because they were really high demand. Like they needed a farm, probably. They were like a mix between Husky and German Shepherd and all that. So I kind of knew there was a right dog out there, but I hadn't met it yet. And so lo and behold, I do think the right soul will meet you when you need to meet it. And I feel that's really happened in my case too. But it did take a while. So I'm not really sure if I called my dog in, but I kind of feel it was just like this mutual thing when you know. And looking back onto it, I'm just like, what if I had gotten a dog now or like 2 years from now? Would it have been the right time? I'm not sure because I kind of feel now would have not been the right time. Like it really happened at the time that I wanted it to happen. And not that you can really compare a dog to a child. I know that, but in a way you can because you have to take care of your dog, right? It's basically a kid at that point, especially when you get it from such a young age. People are commenting on the kids. Okay, got to go through these comments. I'm sorry. I'm just like rambling on here. So with kids, is it the same? Is it like, do we really call them in? Or is it something they push onto you, especially if it's like a huge karmic relationship? Can you say no, you don't want it? That's what people do when they decide to end, before the kid is born, they decide to end that entire cycle with these with these strategies that are ostracized now, and people are shaming them in the media and everything. So I don't know. Is it the same? Do people really call their kids in? Like maybe some do. I do think some do. I don't know if people do when they're a teenager, though, honestly. I can't imagine a single teenager being out there calling their kid in and having that maturity level being like, I want kids now, at least not in nowadays society. Maybe like 500 years ago, but I don't know about nowadays. Musk appeared out of nowhere. Whole family's whacked. Mom is deep. Yeah, the mom is deep in it too. The Black Cube. Elon Musk had a book on that, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay, Scotty Boy saying, if I knew then what I do now, I would not have had kids. That's fair. And, once you have kids, you're not just going to get rid of your kids, obviously. The Cathars did not want to bring children into this evil realm, as you're put in another spirit in hell. You're putting another spirit in hell. About the kids, I don't have enough room to type what I think. I think we make soul contacts before we come in here. I do agree with that too. The cube is connected to Kronos, the god of time and death. He's also connected to Saturn. I think Saturn's a deception, though. I agree 100% with the kids. A lot of our mothers just did it because that's what they did. Grow up, get married, have kids. They didn't even think about it. Yeah. When I look at my grandparents, it's the same thing. You can't tell me they put 4 kids into the world in a very conscious thing. No, that's what people did back then. It was right after World War II. And it's painful, especially when then you lose one of your kids. And that's the most painful thing out there, right? I should have listened to my intuition. I never wanted children. I was pressured. And he said to me, I didn't ask to be born and never see him in 10 years. I wish I hadn't. Yeah. They keep us in soul groups and try to usher us together lifetime after lifetime to attach us more and more. Maybe. But maybe we can also wake each other up more because we're already born together somehow, If people want to wake up, I don't know at this point. My dogs are my kids. Yeah, I agree. I see that in a similar way. I mean, same with cats, just because they're in a different body, you still have to feed them. You still have to take them out. You still have to take them everywhere. I take my dog everywhere at this point. I take him to the grocery. I take him on the subway. Like when my dog has to stay behind, my dog gets really upset because my dog wants to be with me. I don't know. I don't know if it's ever going to disappear, but yeah. Gosh, I found a paralyzed kitty in July in heavy rain. banging at the gate of my house. When I did tarot, I got that he has dragon spirit. Well, he still drags and still not in full muscular power. Hey, we do what we do, period. We try to make the best decisions. Well, most of us with souls do, but we are the minority here. I was going to say that I love my kids, but if I knew this world was what I was and how hard it is, I would have never had kids. They had like 10 kids at a time in our grandparents' time. Yeah. Well, I grew up in a town where I knew this family that had 13 kids. You know, this is not too long ago. A lot of them are the same age I am now, a lot of their kids. So, well, you have like a natural clock that goes off, and some people get like baby fever and really feel like they want kids out of nowhere. I feel that was the case for me in puppy fever, actually. But the entire natural clock thing, I mean, like, wasn't that one story with Abraham and was it not Ruth, but Abraham and Abraham's wife? Didn't she have a child when she was 90? You know, I think the natural clock is just another program they put onto us. My one mother's cousin had her first child at 43, and that was before artificial insemination, what all this artificial crap that they're doing now, because a lot of people have fertility issues nowadays. So it's possible, you know, it's possible to forego that entire thing. The whole construction crew all in one family. Yeah, so with the family that I know that had 13 kids, one kid ended up being a doctor, one kid ended up being a mechanic, the other kid ended up being a teacher. You can basically build your own village just by having your 13 kids. You can have like an entire soccer team made out of kids. Um, my cat, he's sleeping on me right now. My cat is queen of the house and rules over the 3 dogs. She came to us, she washed up in a flood. Yeah. Thanks about the space cross. I just made a list about them inside my channel. Yeah, Abraham and Sarah were brother and sister. They were all brother and sister. They were all related. It's all like the Isis, Osiris, whatever. She was laughing, right? Me have a kid. I don't know. Okay, so you guys, 1 hour, 42 minutes in. I think we're gonna end it at that. But I thought that comment was really funny. Well, not funny, but it was interesting, right? It's worth reading on. Does anyone call in kids? I don't know. I understand that you get visions about having children beforehand, like all of that. I don't know about calling in kids. Maybe some people do. Maybe comment below if you called in your own child and you feel good about that. I really don't know. But okay, you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in. I think we made the best out of it on this Halloween weekend. That's so crazy. And talk to you very soon again. I'll put more info on the course below in the pinned comment or whatever. And until then, have a wonderful one. No trolling on this channel. Channel's under persecution already. And okay, until then, bye guys. Enjoy.